Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Hi, and welcome back to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Thanks for staying with us. This last episode, or this last segment, is going to be about the Kinship House. It's a new guest for me, and I'm very happy to have them here. Representing the Kinship House, I have Heather Jeffress. You are the Executive Director. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Monica.
You bet. And Timothy Travis, you are a board member at the Kinship House. Thanks for being here. It's great to have you. I'm impressed with what I have seen and read so far about the Kinship House. Could you give me, for viewers that don't know about you, tell me a little bit about what your mission is and why the Kinship House was started?
Oh, sure. So in 1996, we've been around actually 20 years this October.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. 6 women in the community, some of them mental health folks who actually, for those blasts from the past, Mount Hood Community Mental Health, a few of them worked there many years ago. And some of the women also worked for child welfare in Salem, that would be DHS. And they really felt that the needs of children in foster care for mental health were not getting met. And so they came together and they created Kinship House, specifically with our mission to really focus on the specific needs around permanency. And permanency is kind of the fancy word in foster care that really means getting kids back to a whole family, a stable family, either through reunification with their biological family members or through adoption or guardianship, and to move them as quickly and as swiftly as possible through the foster care system to get them to that permanent family. So that is still our mission today. That's what we have done the entire time, and that's what we still are working on every day.
I imagine that kids in foster care probably have issues with abandonment or attachment issues sometimes, and other issues that maybe you just wouldn't think about. Am I right?
Yes, you are right. And so when we talk about those mental health services that we provide at Kinship House to do that mission work that I was just mentioning, we really are looking at trauma and attachment and helping parents and caregivers really develop the skills to help support children with those special needs. So first we try and heal those traumas and help stabilize the child. And then second, we really try and give the adults in their lives the skills they need to help support them and keep the family whole and permanent and stable so that children don't have to return to foster care.
Right.
Yeah.
And really that's, I'm sure, helps the entire family. It's not just helping the child. Being a parent of a foster child can be very stressful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not understanding maybe where that child came from, what their past was like. That may, I don't know if it's always known.
Right.
Every child who comes into foster care went through some fairly traumatic events in their lives to get there.
Yeah, they're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when they're in foster care, because they're isolated from their families, because they're outside their own home, they're in a stranger's house, stuff happens along the way so that it gets to grow larger. And the problem, one of the things that struck me when I first heard it was, for every U.S. serviceman who comes home from the Middle East, serviceman or servicewoman who comes home from the Middle East with post-traumatic stress disorder, there are 2.5 foster kids in America. For every one of those people coming back, 2.5 kids who have PTSD. And PTSD, it compromises an ability of a child to function. So a child will not act the way we expect kids to act.
So treating them the way you would any other child may not work.
No, it won't work because they've suffered some kind of emotional catastrophe that overwhelmed their ability to cope and to function. And so they tend to go back to that place when they get into those kind of conflict situations. And as Heather said, you have to work on the relationship between the kid and the caretaker and not just fix the kid.
Right. It's a holistic approach to it.
And particularly important, I think it's great to bring up the different types of PTSD, Timothy, because when our veterans return, hopefully that PTSD came from war trauma. And I think as a culture we know a lot more about that.
Right.
But when children
Well,
come
we're
into,
learning about it
we're
anyway.
learning more about it. Yeah, we are, and which is a good thing. But when children develop in that kind of environment where they're really fearing for their safety, because again, as Timothy said, children are removed because of terrible things that are happening in the home. The whole child's worldview actually develops around that trauma. And so in many ways, if we don't intervene earlier, there's really sadly many studies over many years that show that the outcome for children who have not accessed services and who have childhood trauma go on to be at much higher risk for entering the prison system, for being in domestic violence relationships, addiction. So that is where really intervening in childhood and the kinds of services that are provided at Kinship House are so essential for changing that story and really helping set a brighter future for a child. Yeah.
I want to ask about how kids come to you, but before we do that, you brought a video, and we have part of it, and I'd really like to show that. I think it kind of sets up how you work and how you operate. So let's, if you don't mind, let's take a look at that now.
Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah. The relationship therapists have with children and the parents is complex and has many layers. The therapist's main job in having a relationship with the child and the family is to provide a framework to create a safe space where past concerns and current behaviors can be explored, and where the child and the parent can come up with their own solutions while the therapist holds the space and guides them through their journey.
What we try to do is assist people in facing the realities that happen to them. Because if we don't talk about it, if we don't deal with it, then children will think it must be really terrible, because the adults won't even talk about it. It's so awful. And what we want to do is normalize, in a way, the experiences for kids so that they don't feel like there's something really weird or wrong with them, and give them a place where they have a freedom to talk about it or play through it. Children use play, whether it's in the sand or whether it's in a playroom, to communicate with us about what's going on inside of their minds and inside their heads. So these kids are reliving trauma that happened to them, and we're there to witness it, and we're there to help them understand what happened.
It's a big task, and it's part of why we're in a house, and it's part of why we focus on the relationship, and it's part of why we use play therapy and art therapy and all of these different models that help put children at ease and help them communicate from the place where they're at. Because if we don't do those simple steps, the child will not be able to see the world in a different way, and they won't believe that people are truly available for them, because that's not what they know.
This idea of creating that trust in other human beings, that they're going to be there for you when you need them, does not come naturally to a child who's been abandoned and who has an attachment disorder. And that trust has to be reinstalled in the synapses in their brain, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of patience. So one of the recommendations of our therapist was baby play. Even though my child was in kindergarten, we read baby books and pretend bottle feeding, pretend diaper changing. We built blocks and we would crash them down. We played house. We did lots of baby play, and it evolved to house or teacher or school. And we still play baby. He likes sometimes to just feel like someone's going to take care of him. And that's such an important part of building that trust and understanding how to address the fundamental causes of attachment.
It's through a healthy attachment that children develop all their cognitive skills, and they learn how to love another person, and they learn how to be in relationships with other people. And without those factors together, without a strong attachment person, then children have delays. They don't meet their developmental milestones. They don't hit their trajectories.
So the work we do not only encourages children to see their therapist as a safe person, but also that foster parent that they live with, their prospective adoptive parent, their biological parent, who now is a very different person if reunification is happening because they're clean and sober. The ultimate goal is to ensure that each of our kids has a permanent, stable, loving family that can lift them up to achieve a life of success and health and trust, and that will last them the rest of their life.
Really good video. That's really good. I have a friend who adopted a child that she was a foster parent for, and I sent her a link to that, and she said, I wish I had known about Kinship House. She said that could have really helped a lot. How do people get to you? How do they find out about your services?
So most of the time it's the child welfare worker who makes the referral, but we are really, that's part of why we're here tonight, Monica, is we really are trying to reach out to the community and do a better job as mental health. Us mental health people are pretty quiet, and mental health seems very private, but I think for us to make good change in the community, we have to get out there and do more communication and more outreach to the community. So Timothy has been helping us a lot with that, and you're helping us with that, because you're right. We need to really talk more about these issues so people know that they're not alone, and that they know that there's help. And that's huge. And things that really do make an impact and make a difference. So thank you for giving us that opportunity.
You had a couple other pictures too that you brought along, and so maybe we can take a look at those too and tell me what we're looking at. I was wondering also if you have a need for volunteers. Do you use volunteers in your organization? Okay.
We do. So Timothy is one of our board members, and all of our board members are volunteers, and they bring great vision and great leadership to our board. I think we have a great group of folks. We have 10. We do. And then we also have volunteers who work in our office and help hang out with the kids in the weight room. We also have volunteers who help us work at events, and because we have to fundraise. That's part of what we do.
Yes. That's a lot of work too. Now what is this you're speaking, obviously?
Oh, this is the fundraiser that we had, our first ever annual auction in October.
And how did that go?
It was amazing.
Really?
Yeah, it was
wonderful.
Yeah. What did you think, Timothy?
Oh, I thought it was great. I thought it was really great.
And this was probably setting up for the fundraiser here? Is that?
Yeah, those are the tables.
Where was this held?
It was at a Vibrant Table. It's a catering company here in town, and they own several locations, and this one is where their tasting room is. It's called The Loft.
Lovely.
And we'll remind you this coming year of the date, and we'll be sure to send you some.
You do that. We'll help promote that. Yeah. There's things to bid on there. Wine night, that's I'm sure probably one of the more popular ones.
Oh yeah, so we had great input. That's another way that people can support and help really change the life of a child is by donating items that we can use at the silent auction. We had table sponsors. We have also Pajama Bowl, which is another event that we do in partnership through Sleep Train now.
Oh yeah, used to be Sleep Country, now Sleep Train. Right.
And so we need people to get 5 friends together and come bowling, and it's a lot of fun. In your pajamas.
I mean, that sounds like
and
fun.
raise money for Kinship House.
It's a very dignified event.
Yeah. Oh yes, I'm sure it is. It's probably a blast.
And we also need sponsorships. We do a mini kin golf event, which is specifically for our foster families. One of the things that we found out in talking to our families was a lot of times in a large family with many foster children, some of the children are biological children, some of the children are foster children, some of the children are adopted children, and unfortunately, some events only some of the children can go to, so maybe if it's free tickets for foster children, only the foster children get the tickets. So
that can be a problem,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
I know. It's one of those little things people don't think about. And so we create an event where we need sponsorships to support that, where the entire family can come, and they do a day of putt-putt golf and get lunch and all kinds of fun stuff.
Putt-putt golf. Well, we're just about out of time. Anything else that we need to know? I wish we'd have more time because this is a fascinating subject.
People can come visit us. We have events where we have people who can come in the evening, 5:30 to 7:30 or so, and you can walk around and see things. We have we have one of the therapy rooms in which there's a closet with a camera in it, and we train one therapist by watching a more skilled therapist or a more experienced therapist. It's an interesting place to just kind of come and hear what we do.
Take a tour and just ask questions and find out find out more about it. Well, we're out of time, so if people are interested, they can go to your website. We'll have the information up there, or they can call, maybe set up a time to come check it out, or find out when is a good time.
And actually, we do have as Timothy was mentioning, we have an open house on November the 16th, I believe, a Wednesday.
A week from today.
Week from today,
yes.
Yeah, and
Yes,
folks are welcome to see that on our website and give us a call and let us know they're coming.
And actually, this show will air that night, so after they watch the show, they can head there and check it out. So when is your open house, from when to when?
It is
5:30 to 7:30.
Yeah, 5:30 to 7:30. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you both so much. You're doing amazing work. That's great. I would love to come check it out sometime. So thank you so much, and keep it up. The children, the foster children of the world, need people like you. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Monica.
You bet. And thanks for watching Community Hotline. Hope you've learned something tonight, and we will see you here same time next week. Thanks very much. Good night.